He was stabbed 14 times, 5 times in his back, 1 under his left cheekbone. In fact, his jaw was open.
The past few days have been wild, and now there's even more heat. New footage just surfaced showing Tory Lanez allegedly getting stabbed in jail, and the internet's eating it up. The clip's already gone viral, with people analyzing it like it's a music video, frame by frame. Everyone's a king. What actually happened? Is the footage even real? Who was behind it, and what could this mean for Tory's future? Well, we are about to spill the tea on everything you need to know about this shocking situation. The viral prison footage controversy. For those who've been living under a rock, Tory Lanez, real name Daystar Peterson, is currently locked up serving a 10-year bid for the infamous 2020 shooting involving Megan Thee Stallion. And just a few days ago, on May 12, 2025, Tory was reportedly stabbed 14 times by another inmate at the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi. This news shook the culture, with hip-hop heads everywhere debating what went down and why.
He was stabbed 14 times. 5 times in his back, 1 under his left cheekbone. In fact, his jaw was open.
But here's where things get even crazier. Shortly after news broke about the stabbing, claims started spreading faster than wildfire about actual footage of the attack going viral. People on X, formerly Twitter, were posting links claiming to show the actual moment Tory got stabbed in the yard. Comment sections everywhere were flooded with people asking where they could see this supposed video, with some even claiming they'd watched the brutal attack with their own eyes. Now, according to multiple sources, the stabbing definitely happened. That part is 100% confirmed. Tory was attacked around 7:20 a.m. in a housing unit at the California Correctional Institution. The reports from official sources state that he was stabbed 14 times. 14 times, y'all, sustaining serious injuries to his back, torso, head, and face. A post on Tory's verified Instagram even confirmed just how serious it was, detailing the exact number and location of the wounds. The Instagram post stated that the rapper was stabbed 14 times, including 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face. It continued by stating that both of his lungs collapsed and he was placed on a breathing apparatus, and that he is now breathing on his own. According to the post, despite being in pain, he is talking normally, in good spirits, and deeply thankful to God that he is pulling through. He also wants to thank everyone for their continued prayers and support, the post concluded. That's some brutal stuff. No cap. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, CDCR, also confirmed the incident happened, stating that they're investigating alongside the Kern County District Attorney's Office. The alleged attacker has been identified as Santino Casio, a 41-year-old inmate serving a life sentence for murder. This dude apparently has a history of violence even behind bars, with prior convictions for assault with a deadly weapon inside prison from 2008 and possession of a deadly weapon from 2018. He's been placed in restricted housing, pending investigation. So with all these confirmed details about the stabbing itself, what about this supposed viral footage that everyone's talking about? Well, let's keep it a stack. Prison surveillance footage is typically kept under tight control for security reasons. So what's really going on here? Because if you've been paying attention to the chatter, you already know that there is something huge bubbling just beneath the surface, something no one is quite ready to reveal yet, but everyone definitely feels is there.
Here, some really compelling new evidence that you've never heard before.
Following Tory's stabbing, his team held a press conference where his attorney, Walter Roberts, spoke about Lanez's innocence and said the rapper never fired the weapon, and that it was Megan's former best friend, Kelsey Harris, who shot her that night. His team claimed to have received new evidence, with Roberts stating that a man named Bradley James had approached the organization a few months ago, claiming to be the bodyguard of Kelsey Harris during the trial.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Ms. Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations.
Remember, Harris was in the car with Tory and Megan during the incident. Roberts claimed that the bodyguard had heard a conversation in which Harris said that she fired the gun while Peterson knocked the gun down.
Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times.
He continued by saying,
in essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun.
He also stated that there were DNA inconsistencies, and only Tory's DNA was taken even though unknown DNA was found on the gun.
There were 3 potential suspects in the car that night. And yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson, even though unknown DNA was found on the gun. Why wasn't Miss Harris's DNA taken? Or was it taken and the information simply never given to the defense?
With this new information and the stabbing incident, legal analysts and social media sleuths alike are raising eyebrows, revisiting courtroom footage, and pulling receipts that might have been overlooked or dismissed too quickly. Because if critical DNA wasn't tested, or worse, was ignored, what else did the system conveniently miss? Was the narrative shaped too early, leaving no room for nuance or contradictions? And now, with Tory's life hanging in the balance behind bars, the urgency hits different. Although he is said to be recovering well, the stabbing incident paired with the recent development in this case is no longer about who pulled the trigger anymore. The case that once seemed wrapped in certainty is now starting to unravel at the edges, and people are wondering if justice was truly served or if we've only scratched the surface of a much bigger story. And this is a very big if this new evidence turns out to be true, it will become a cultural moment that reignites conversations for weeks or even months afterward. It will provoke reactions from all sides, from Tory's loyal fans, his critics, and even from influential figures in the hip-hop community who have been closely watching his legal saga unfold from afar. One thing is crystal clear though, this story is far from over. Whatever footage exists, whether it's locked away somewhere or making its way through underground channels, this is exactly the kind of explosive, raw content the internet thrives on, because if that clip ever drops, it will undoubtedly be a game changer. But let's get into how we even got to this point. The real story behind Tory Lanez's prison stabbing. Now let's get into what actually happened to Tory Lanez behind those prison walls, because the real story is just as wild as any fabricated video. The details of this attack are brutal and show just how dangerous life can be for high-profile inmates, especially ones involved in controversial cases like Tory's. According to multiple credible sources, including the BBC and NPR, the attack went down on May 12, 2025, at approximately 7:20 a.m. local time, 15:20 GMT, inside a housing unit at the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi, located about 75 miles north of Los Angeles. This isn't some low-security chill spot. We're talking about a serious correctional facility housing some of California's most dangerous offenders. The attack itself was vicious by all accounts. Tory was stabbed 14 times across his body, with 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face. The injuries were life-threatening. Both of his lungs collapsed as a result of the attack, and he had to be placed on a breathing apparatus when first rushed to the hospital in Kern County. While the motive for the attack remains unclear and is still under investigation, it's worth noting that high-profile inmates like Tory often become targets in prison for various reasons. Sometimes it's about gaining status or respect among other inmates by attacking a celebrity. Other times it can be related to gang politics or personal grudges. We can't say for certain what prompted this particular attack until the authorities release more information, but what we do know is that being famous behind bars can put a serious target on your back. Now, for those who might not be fully up to speed on why Tory is in prison in the first place, let's break that down real quick. This whole situation goes back to July 2020, when Tory was convicted of shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the feet after a party in the Hollywood Hills. After a high-profile trial that had the entire hip-hop community choosing sides, a jury found him guilty in December 2022 on 3 felony charges: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. In July 2020, when most of us were locked indoors trying to survive a global pandemic, a few celebrities were clearly still out and about living their best chaotic lives, including Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion, and Megan's then best friend, Kelsey Harris. According to reports, they had all been at a party at Kylie Jenner's house in the Hollywood Hills. At some point after leaving that party, things went sideways, and what began as a regular night out spiraled into an explosive situation that would dominate headlines for years. According to court testimony, an argument broke out in the SUV they were riding in. The details were fuzzy at first, but it became clear that something serious had gone down. When police showed up, Megan initially told them she'd cut her foot on glass, a lie as she later admitted because she was scared.
Were you afraid for your life at that time?
I was really scared because I had never been shot at before.
But a few days later, she came forward publicly and revealed what really happened. She had been shot, and she named Tory Lanez as the shooter.
All I hear is this man screaming, he said, "Dance, bitch." And he started shooting.
And that's when everything exploded. Hip-hop Twitter turned into Judge Judy, and people picked sides like it was a reality show. Some didn't believe Megan, others dragged Tory. and many just stood on the sidelines, waiting for more drama to unfold. Tory stayed silent for a while, then dropped a whole album basically insinuating that he was being set up. The case went to trial in December 2022, and it felt like the entire internet was tuned in. Every day brought a new twist. There were cases of leaked evidence, cross testimonies, and even unexpected witness statements. Kelsey, the former best friend, testified, and her own story kept shifting, confusing the public even more, and now new evidence points to her as the shoot. Still, in the courtroom, the facts painted a clearer picture. Gunshot residue was found on Tory. A text from Kelsey to Megan's bodyguard the night of the shooting read, "Tory shot Meg." And Megan's injuries weren't just from broken glass. They were from bullet fragments lodged in her feet. By the end of the trial, the jury found Tory guilty on all 3 felony counts: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. In August 2023, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Since then, Tory's legal team has been pushing back hard. They have filed appeals and even launched a habeas corpus petition, claiming that key evidence was withheld during the trial. But none of that has gotten him out. According to reports, Tory's eligible for parole as early as 2029, though this recent incident could potentially affect that timeline. Even now, almost 5 years after the shooting, the divisions remain stark. When news of Tory's stabbing broke, social media lit up with wildly different reactions. Some expressed sympathy and sent prayers for his recovery, while others claimed it was karma or divine justice. And sadly, many used the opportunity to once again attack Megan, with some internet comments even suggesting Megan should pay for this and accusing her of ruining an innocent black man's life, completely ignoring the fact that Tory was convicted in a court of law based on evidence and testimony. What's particularly interesting is that the stabbing incident comes just months after Megan secured a 5-year restraining order against Lanez in January 2025, alleging that he continued to harass her from prison through third parties. This adds another layer to an already complex situation and raises questions about whether there could be any connection between these recent legal developments and the attack on Tory. But it's important to note that prison violence is unfortunately common, especially in facilities like the California Correctional Institution. Without clear evidence linking the attack to Tory's case or any outside influences, we should be careful about jumping to conclusions about why he was targeted. The CDCR and Kern County District Attorney's Office are conducting a thorough investigation into the stabbing, which will hopefully provide more clarity on how this happened and whether any systemic failures contributed to the incident. Prison safety is a serious concern, and high-profile cases like this often shine a light on the broader issues within our correctional system. What we've seen time and again is that rappers and other celebrities face unique dangers behind bars. This isn't the first time a well-known artist has been attacked while incarcerated, and sadly, it probably won't be the last. The combination of fame, controversial cases, and the harsh realities of prison life creates a volatile situation that can turn deadly in an instant. Just in the past few years, we've seen several high-profile incidents involving rappers being attacked in prison. First, there's the case of Yak Gotti, a YSL rapper, was reportedly stabbed on December 1st, 2024, while incarcerated at Fulton County Jail in Atlanta. Brooklyn rapper Casanova had his face slashed in June 2023 at Essex County Correctional Facility in New Jersey, reportedly as retaliation for renouncing his gang affiliation. In one of the most tragic cases, Los Angeles rapper Money Sign Suede was fatally stabbed in a shower at the Correctional Training Facility in Soledad, California, on April 25, 2023. The 22-year-old died from a neck wound in what was described as a targeted attack. Shannon Stillwell, a co-defendant in the YSL RICO case alongside Young Thug, was stabbed multiple times during a fight at Fulton County Jail in Atlanta in December 2022. Even Tay K was allegedly stabbed in prison after he appeared in court with a slash mark on his neck that prompted the judge to ask about it. These cases highlight a disturbing pattern of violence targeting rappers in the prison system, often related to gang politics, personal beefs, or their high-profile status. Tory's stabbing is just the latest in this troubling trend, and it raises serious questions about whether enough is being done to protect inmates, regardless of their celebrity status or the crimes they've been convicted of. Prison violence, celebrity status, and media manipulation. The attack on Tory Lanez isn't just about one rapper getting stabbed. It opens up a much deeper conversation about several interconnected issues: prison safety, the unique dangers faced by celebrity inmates, and even how information and misinformation spreads in our digital age. Let's break down each of these aspects and explore what they tell us about the world we're living in. First up, let's talk about the reality of prison violence. because what happened to Tory isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a systemic problem. Prisons like the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi, Fulton County Jail in Atlanta, and Soledad's Correctional Training Facility are known hotbeds for violence, with overcrowding, gang activity, and inadequate oversight creating a perfect storm of danger for those incarcerated there. For someone like Tory, whose case received massive media attention and sparked heated debates both inside and outside prison walls, the risk is even higher. Celebrity inmates often become targets for various reasons. Sometimes it's about status. Attacking a famous person earns you street cred. Sometimes it's related to gang politics, and sometimes it's simply about personal grudges or jealousy. The presence of illegal cell phones in prisons, as noted in reports about Mexican mafia operations, makes this situation even more dangerous. Gang leaders can orchestrate violence from within, targeting individuals they see as threats or opportunities to assert dominance. And in a high-profile case like Tory's, where public opinion is so divided, those existing tensions can spill over into prison life with potentially deadly consequences. Speaking of divided opinions, the Megan Thee Stallion shooting case fractured the hip-hop community in ways that continue to reverberate today. When Tory was convicted, his father caused a courtroom outburst, denouncing what he called a wicked system.
I just stood here in this Los Angeles County and witnessed the worst miscarriage of justice that this world has ever seen. You want to know how I feel? I'll tell you exactly how I feel.
Many of Tory's supporters echoed those sentiments online, claiming he was unfairly targeted or framed.
Any of y'all out there that believe that Tory Lanez picked up a gun while he was with two girls that he popped them both, said dance and shot her in the foot, I stand by, you're an idiot.
Some, including Tory's father, went so far as to suggest a conspiracy involving Roc Nation, Megan's management, and the music industry at large.
I got some names that I want to call. Alex Spiro, Desiree Perez, and the whole wicked system of Roc Nation, including you, Jay-Z.
Yes.
You who say you rose from the gutter, but you have traded and bartered the souls of young men.
On the flip side, advocates for Megan pointed to the overwhelming evidence against Tory, including witness testimony, gunshot residue, and his own apologetic statements made shortly after the incident. They highlighted how Megan was subjected to vicious online harassment and disbelief, exemplifying the misogynoir, misogyny directed specifically at black women, that permeates both the music industry and society at large. This polarization didn't end with the conviction or sentencing. It continues to this day, as evidenced by the varied reactions to news of Tory's stabbing. Some expressed genuine concern for his well-being, while others viewed it as karmic justice. The most troubling responses, however, were those that once again targeted Megan, blaming her for Tory's current situation despite the fact that he was convicted in a fair trial based on evidence. This brings us to the third major issue highlighted by this case, the spread of misinformation in the digital age. Think about it. How many YouTube videos have you seen with titles like shocking footage, only to click and find it's just someone talking about news reports with no actual footage? Still, make no mistake, there are important issues at stake here. The attack on Tory Lanez raises serious questions about prison safety and the protection of inmates, regardless of their crimes. It highlights the ongoing influence of gangs within correctional facilities and the challenges faced by authorities in curbing violence. And it underscores the complex intersection of fame, race, gender, and justice in high-profile cases. For artists in the hip-hop community, Tory's case serves as yet another reminder of the dangers that can follow fame, especially when combined with legal troubles. We've seen too many talented individuals lost to violence both in and out of prison, and each incident ripples through the culture, affecting fans, fellow artists, and the broader conversation about hip-hop's place in society. But perhaps the most important takeaway from this situation is that the stabbing of Tory Lanez is a serious incident with real implications for prison safety, the hip-hop community, and the ongoing discussion about violence and justice in America. As Tory continues his recovery and the investigation into the attack progresses, we'll likely learn more about what happened and why. So whether you're a Tory Lanez fan, a Megan Thee Stallion supporter, or someone who's just following this case out of interest in hip-hop culture, there's value in approaching these complex topics with nuance and empathy. The human beings involved, including Tory, Megan, and countless others affected by violence and incarceration, deserve nothing less As for Tory Lanez, regardless of your opinion on his case or conviction, we can all agree that prison violence is a serious issue that deserves attention and reform. No one, famous or not, deserves to face potentially deadly attacks while serving their sentence. And as he recovers from this brutal stabbing, perhaps we can use this moment to have more thoughtful conversations about the many interconnected issues his case has brought to light. And with that, we've come to the end of this deep dive. For more juicy content like this, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and check out the cards showing on your screen for more videos.